Hi guys, it's Pamela here. Getting prepared for the release of my next novel, Two Hearts in the Grave. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what mostly inspires my writing. And I know it probably comes across in all my posts, but it's sometimes just nicer to actually chat on video about it. Um, if you've ever read anything from me, whether a short story, novella, novel, chances are that you've seen that there's a connection to music in the story, even if it's not primarily about music, and even when the music isn't there, it's still there. It's always, nearly always, an element in my stories. That's because music is such a huge part of my life. I'm completely untalented musically. I can't sing, can't dance, have no sense of rhythm, can't play any instruments, but I absolutely love music. And this being 2020, what I've missed the most is live music. It's going to gigs is the only thing I do in my life that doesn't cause me any stress. Writing as in itself doesn't cause me stress, but obviously there are times then coming up to publishing when it gets a bit mental, trying to keep on top of everything. And even any of the other hobbies I have can get a bit stressful. Live music, never. And I haven't sadly had that chance this year. I've only been to two gigs early in the year before COVID 19 stepped in and cancelled all our plans for this year pretty much. So in the meantime, I've focused on writing, which is great. And I have been writing another novel that very much is focused on music. And music is just such a huge inspiration to me, and I never write a word unless I have music playing in the background. It's just such an inspiration to me, and I am lucky enough to know many bands, including being quite friendly with some of my favorite bands, which is an amazing position to be in. And I suppose I see the struggles that bands go through, especially in the early stages of the career, because they don't all, go on to become U2s and Bon Jovis and Metallicas and the huge names that we know. A lot of them just kind of stay on the grassroots level and play the toilet circuit for years. And I think what I really want to do with my writing is kind of tell the world that is the reality that they live with. And I think as a writer, I'm lucky I can kind of indulge in my passion, and I can still do it from the comfort of my own home. I don't actually need to go out and meet people or see people, which is great because I'm an introvert. Um, but for bands, the struggle is very real. They need to be able to afford going on tour, getting their instruments and all that. And I think the other misconception that I want, particularly from the romance and novel market, so the misconception I want to clear up from there is that not all rock stars are bad guys. They couldn't usually be further from that. They might be heavily tattooed, they might look rough, with heavy beards, long hair, all that. But most of them are just the absolute biggest sweethearts. Love animals. A lot of them are vegan and vegetarians. For the love of animals, just the nicest guys you can know of, and that is one of the things that I really want to come across in my writing, that they're not all bad guys. Of course, people in all professions and in all walks of life have their own trouble, and that is obviously what we write about when we write about music, or write in any stories. So if you follow me in social media, you might have seen as well in my novels at the back of the books. There's usually link to a playlist of songs that inspired me to write that particular story. And there are some bands that keep coming up in all my stories, no matter how different they are. So you'd see the likes of Muse and Editors pop up in many of those playlists. Muse is just absolutely one of my favorite bands. They have amazing songs. Not maybe the easiest band to get into, but they're well worth the trouble of kind of learning how their songs work and actually enjoying them. Absolutely amazing live. Editors make really kind of simple music, I think, but the atmosphere in their songs is second to none, and I absolutely love their songs. They are actually one of the bands I didn't manage to see this year. One of the two bands I've managed to see this year, and seems to have finished my gig year 2020. Very glad I got to see them. Now it's my third time to see Editors. You might see some other bands that are actually mentioned in the end credits of my books. My last book, Sympathetic Strings, I actually mentioned a band called We Are Scientists. More of a fun band, really, but their music just really fitted that story. I suppose it's a more light-hearted story, so their music just really fitted that atmosphere. Also, again, really nice guys. Great laugh to see them live. I don't usually like bands talking a lot on stage, but when it comes to We Are Scientists, I don't actually know if I want them to keep playing songs or keep talking, because they're just so funny. Chris and Keith, they just have amazing chemistry on stage. They're obviously been friends for years and years and years, and it shows. And if you follow my blog, you can also see my weekly kind of favorite tracks on Music Monday. So a blog post goes up every Monday, and that's on my website at pamelaharju.com/blog. So I introduce music that really inspires me at any given moment in time, or has inspired me in the past. So I try to vary the type of music and artists and bands that I include, but obviously the same names kind of necessarily keep coming up. Recently I've been listening to a lot of Manic Street Preachers, mostly because I have spent a lot of this year being fascinated by the disappearance of their main lyricist and their guitarist, Richie Edwards. So I've been reading up a lot about him, and I've also actually got into the band's music at the same time. So yeah, follow me on social media. You'll see the blog posts on there, and you can see the occasional link to the playlist that I share as well from my books. So those are the really good ways of figuring out what actually inspires me to write. Many of my ideas come from songs and the atmospheres of songs and the lyrics of songs. So if you really want to understand, what I'm writing about, I suppose following the music and understanding the music, being familiar with the music that I listen to will be a big part of it, and it will become very clear again in my next book, Two Hearts in a Grave. Very much inspired by the struggle of bands in general. Obviously some personal struggles in this book for my main characters as well, but it's very much about music and I suppose the trouble of being a creative person in general. So that will be coming soon. I will be sharing the pre-order links as soon as they're available, and I will be in touch with all of you soon. Thank you.